Hey there, welcome back to the Deadpool and Honey Badger podcast. He is awful at podcasting, but that's okay, because today we're here to listen.
Deadpool, often called the Merc with a mouth, is a wide-cracking mercenary with a whole range of superpowers. Merc with a mouth. I can't die 1 foot in the grave, but I'm still alive. He has superhuman strength, exceptional combat skills, and most notably, infinite regeneration and immortality. Today, we'll explore Deadpool's regenerative abilities and compare them to current research in regenerative medicine to see if such powers are at all possible in real life.
Deadpool. Captain Deadpool. No, just Deadpool, yeah.
To do so, we gotta start at the beginning.
Today, we're gonna witness medical history.
His origin story differs slightly between the movies and comics, but generally, Wade Wilson served in the United States military and special forces, which could explain why he is a master assassin. After developing severe cancer, he was recruited into Department K, a special weapons development program, and subsequently into the Weapon X program, a secret project designed to induce superpowers for military purposes. In a desperate attempt to cure him, he was subjected to brutal experimentation that ultimately led to the manifestation of his superpowers. According to the movie plotline, as explained by Marvelous Movies,
he was administered an unnamed serum which enhanced his latent mutant genes. It turned out that Wade Wilson had a powerful healing ability.
So Deadpool was technically already a mutant with a natural healing ability, but his dormant powers only activated themselves when this serum was administered and his body was pushed to its limits, as it was by both the cancer and the extreme circumstances of the experimentation. As suggested by the movie buff, Deadpool was forced to undergo the worst suffering and pain imaginable to eventually be able to withstand anything. This tracks with our current understanding of epigenetics, which is the study of how the surrounding environment can influence gene expression. However, in the comics, the serum that was administered wasn't just any catalyst. I'll let someone more qualified to discuss the lore, Film Comics Explained, do their thing.
And his cancer was temporarily arrested via the implantation of a healing factor derived from another Department K agent, Wolverine.
So, that's the secret sauce. And this healing factor was formulated uniquely for Wilson's condition. That is, a man riddled with late-stage cancer. Guess the scientists thought Wolverine's regenerative ability could somehow be transferred to Wilson, not only saving his life, but overriding the damage caused by the cancer, but also enhancing his physiology altogether. But what's so special about Wolverine blood? Before we get into the science of it all, it's important to remember that these comic book superheroes often play fast and loose with medical accuracy, prioritizing storytelling and character quirks over realistic depictions. That said, according to Joshua Isaac, who is a comics staff writer for Screen Rant, Wolverine is a mutant whose powers most likely stem from, no pun intended, stem cells. Stem cells are unique because they can self-renew. A single stem cell can divide and produce millions of new stem cells. Additionally, they are undifferentiated, highly versatile, and pluripotent, meaning they can develop into any of the 220 cell types in the human body. As described by senior stem cell scientist Nirupama Shevde in her article, stem cells are our flexible friends.
Using stem cells to replace damaged bodily tissue is called regenerative medicine.
Normal somatic, that is, mature or adult or specialized cells, have what's called a Hayflick limit. Basically, telomeres are protective caps on the ends of chromosomes that shorten with each cell division. When they get too short, the cell can no longer divide and either becomes inactive or dies, which is linked to aging. The Hayflick limit is the maximum number of times a typical cell can divide before it stops dividing, usually around 40 to 60 times. It's clear that Wolverine's cells don't play by those rules. Some suggest that Wolverine's body might be composed entirely of stem cells, but since he maintains a specific physical form, it's more likely that his genetic mutation affects how his cells behave, giving him his remarkable regenerative abilities. However, this genetic mutation and Wolverine's resulting powers wouldn't be passed along to Deadpool through the blood alone. While it is possible to empower someone by infusing them with exogenous blood, the effects would be short-lived.
Couldn't wait to get my shirt off again, huh?
Blood transfusions are the closest procedure we have, but they don't grant genetic advantages. Blood transfusions only transfer red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, and plasma, not DNA. And while blood is matched for compatibility to avoid rejection due to antibodies, the donor's blood cells do not integrate into your body's cells. They're typically used to replace blood loss from surgery or injury, though blood transfusions have also been misused in sports for performance enhancement and endurance, a practice known as blood doping. So, by increasing the number of red blood cells in the bloodstream and thereby improving oxygen transport to muscles, a person can have a temporary boost in athletic performance.
Just kind of the body's own factory that makes red cells gets cranked up.
However, to alter someone's genetic makeup permanently or gain genetic advantages from another person, gene editing techniques like CRISPR would be required. However, for the sake of the plot, let's assume that either Wolverine's blood worked or Deadpool's latent powers were awakened by the external pressure and the administration of a mystery serum. This transformation turned Wade Wilson into Deadpool, granting him infinite regeneration and additional powers. The healing factor enhances his overall physical condition, boosting his strength, agility, and endurance beyond human levels. Additionally, the regeneration led to side effect powers, including resistance to foreign chemicals, immunity to diseases, telepathic immunity, resistance to possession, and immortality. However, regardless of his superpowers, if you've seen Under the Mask, Deadpool is still covered in tumors. And that's because this healing factor did not actually heal him of his cancer. In fact, his powers are very much linked to it.
Yeah, like I got bit by a radioactive Shar-Pei.
You should thank me. Apparently I made you immortal. I'm actually quite jealous.
Genes direct the formation of tissues and organs, but their expression is regulated by epigenetic modifications, which turns genes on or off. Deadpool's healing factor triggered epigenetic changes that enhanced cell regeneration by influencing cell division and growth. Since his body was largely filled with cancer cells, the healing factor regenerates both the remaining healthy cells and the cancerous ones. Over time, the rapidly dividing cancer cells eventually overwhelm and replace the healthy cells, resulting in a body predominantly composed of cancerous cells. These cancer cells continually regenerate before causing fatal damage, keeping Deadpool alive despite the pervasive cancer.
Whenever Wade Wilson suffers an injury, his body replaces the dead cells with dying cells.
Yeah, he literally can't die, no matter how bad the damage. However, his regenerative ability also means that he can't get rid of his cancer. It's kind of what's keeping him alive, which explains why his skin is entirely made of tumors.
I can't believe he's still alive.
But if Deadpool's cells are constantly dividing due to cancer, why doesn't he become a giant amorphous tumor blob? His body must have some sort of mechanism to keep the cell division under control to maintain the physique of a superhero. In a normal body, that is to say, one that is both cancer-free and superpower-free, cells have built-in mechanisms to control proliferation and prevent cancer.
Oncogenes and tumor suppressor genes. You can think of these kind of like the gas and brake pedals of cell division.
Great analogy. Oncogenes stimulate cell growth and division, while tumor suppressor genes regulate this growth and can even trigger cell death when necessary. At least in us non-Deadpoolers. This is why, despite his healing factor causing rapid cell regeneration, Deadpool's body still has some control measures, even if impaired, to manage cell growth and avoid becoming a massive tumor blob. Fans even speculate that it's these his genes directly affected by the epigenetic changes induced by Deadpool's healing factor, though this isn't specified in the plot.
It has been established that if he didn't have control over his tumor suppressor genes, that cell division in his body would expand out of control and he would die, finally, maybe, I don't know.
In that case, when Deadpool is injured, the tumor suppressor genes that normally control tumor growth might be temporarily suppressed themselves, allowing oncogenes to become more active. Another way Deadpool might maintain his physical form is if his cell regeneration constantly has a target to work on. Essentially, if he's always injured. In this sense, his ongoing injuries could also help keep his healing factor in check and prevent his cells from growing uncontrollably. And even with his constant injuries and cancer not phasing him, does Deadpool experience pain? While his many injuries may not be able to kill him, he likely still feels some pain, even if his pain tolerance is incredibly high. There is such a thing as pain habituation, in which there is a decrease of activation in brain areas related to pain perception. Still, his skin constantly changes, resulting in open wounds, lesions, and scars. Internally, he endures the pain caused by tumors pressing on nearby nerves. According to Cancer Research UK, approximately 1/3 of people with cancer experience moderate to severe pain, and this rate rises to just over 1/2 for those with advanced cancer. And remember, Deadpool's cancer is very advanced, like right to the brink of death advanced. According to Marvel Movies fandom, he was diagnosed with cancer in his liver, lungs, prostate, and brain. But as we've already mentioned, it's probably spread to every freaking part of his body. This process of spreading in a normal body is called metastasis. In Deadpool, it occurs at an accelerated rate.
Pink is tied like a beautiful ribbon to a cause very close to me. Cancer.
People with cancer typically refer to their battle with it, something they have to fight, and an exhausting one at that. If Deadpool still experiences pain, shouldn't he also experience exhaustion? In the context of the comics and movies, Deadpool's resilience and energy might be portrayed as high due to his healing factor, but realistically, he could still experience significant fatigue and exhaustion from the ongoing pain and stress of his condition. However, Deadpool's adrenaline-fueled lifestyle and constant physical activity might help keep his cancer-related fatigue in check, as his fight or flight response and sympathetic nervous system are frequently activated. Elevated cortisol levels, which can be damaging in normal circumstances, might not significantly affect him long-term due to his infinite cell regeneration. On the other hand, I'm not sure it's fair to assume that his sympathetic nervous system reacts the same way as regular people. He could be relatively calm during these intense experiences again, possibly due to habituation, to the constant stress and pain. All that to say, while the cancer undeniably adds significant stress to Deadpool's body, it is closely intertwined with his healing factor.
That's gonna leave a mark. Oh wait, no it isn't! I have a healing factor!
In the movies, Deadpool is given a power-suppressing collar by one of his opponents, making him as vulnerable as any other human.
Fans believe that Wade Wilson wouldn't survive a full day given the advanced stage of his cancer.
The idea that Deadpool might exist without cancer while still maintaining his regenerative abilities is intriguing, actually. Since regeneration is not inherently linked with cancer in real life, it's theoretically possible for him to have regenerative powers without the cancer. Fans debate this because his healing factor is highly personalized to his specific condition. However, is there a way to activate regeneration in the common man? Is such a thing even possible?
Starfish can regenerate arms, certain lizards can grow back severed tails, some flatworms can recreate their entire body from a single adult cell.
As stated in an article written by Lorenzo Alibardi on the regenerative abilities in animals, as a basic life principle, regeneration is a general property of animal tissue. The earliest forms of life, unicellular animals, were doing it over 1 billion years ago. Many animals still possess varying regeneration abilities, from the broad regeneration seen in some sea creatures, which can grow entire bodies from a single body part, to the more limited regeneration in some amphibians, which can regrow limbs.
An iguana can lose its tail and grow it back. he regenerates.
Another thing scientists like Ron Stewart and his team found has to do with oncogenes. Remember those? The gas of cell division.
Research has found that there's an initial surge of oncogene expression that is soon suppressed by tumor suppressor genes as a new limb takes shape.
So, similar to Deadpool's situation, some animals have genes that become highly responsive when needed. This means that processes involved in axolotl regeneration are also at work in humans, albeit to different extents. As animals moved onto land and became more complex organisms, our regenerative ability became more difficult to access. Our immune response differs to that of our amphibian friend, as Dr. Godwin explains.
Humans or mice get injured, certain parts of the immune system participate in a different way that may lead to a scarring outcome.
Like the axolotl, we have macrophages that clear debris from a wound site. However, unlike the axolotl, which develops a wound epidermis and new tissue, our bodies form blood clots through platelets to seal wounds. Additionally, growth factors, which are proteins that stimulate cell growth, division, and differentiation, help repair the wound by attracting cells to the injury site. And while it seems we have all the raw materials to get the regeneration job done, there seems to be something that gets lost in translation because the tissue does not return to its original state, but instead gets replaced by scar tissue. We have the biological machinery, so what's the issue? What could be preventing it from happening?
Oh, whiskey dick of the claws. It's quite common in Wolverines over 40.
What we do know is that younger animals have better regenerative ability. It is thought that the more complex biology of adults means that the gene activation seen during development, Hox genes for example, cannot be fully replicated in their injured adult bodies. Research performed on frogs and mice showed limited regeneration was possible in the womb. So, the theory is, as Pop Sci Show Life Noggin explains,
as an embryo long before your birth, you may have had the ability to replace your developing limbs.
Great. So, do we grow out of our regenerative ability? According to Eleonora and Gregorian's article published in the Journal of Developmental Biology, there is increasing evidence that terminally differentiated cells and aging stem cells can benefit from a pro-youthful environment. This means optimizing cell health, reducing aging damage, and boosting healing to keep the body youthful. In fact, because mammalian cells are stable, scientists are trying to figure out how to turn specialized cells back into stem cells. Unlike Deadpool's cancerous cells, which take no prisoners and listen to no one, stem cells, like the ones predicted to be in Wolverine, are flexible when necessary, but can be put to work.
You know, I got a healing factor that makes Wolverine go like,
I wish I had Deadpool's healing factor, bub.
Scar tissue could be another barrier, but as we've seen, it's not universal amongst animals. We may just be operating at a level where, like movie Deadpool, our regenerative abilities lay dormant. And like Deadpool, we may be able to activate the genes necessary through environmental influence, as epigenetics suggests. Alternatively, we might target cells more directly. Michael Levin, a developmental and synthetic biologist, is investigating how cells use bioelectric signals to make collective decisions regarding growth and shape. His research, highlighted on the science enthusiast NASJAC's channel, has shown that by manipulating those bioelectrical signals, it may be possible to control gene activity and direct formation of specific cell types or repair damaged tissues, ultimately switching the body's response from scarring to regeneration. While this might suggest that we need external stimulation, it's important to note that we are naturally bioelectric. In fact, bioelectricity is constantly at work in our bodies. Levin also indicates that the process of regeneration could also help tame unruly cancer cells, potentially turning them back into healthy cells.
The surrounding environment can provide patterning cues that will cause these cancer cells to behave normally and to become part of normal tissues.
Dr. Levin, your research could be a significant step in transforming Deadpool into a live pool. Overall, by fostering a Zen environment and channeling our own bioelectricity, we could enhance our body's regenerative capabilities. It appears that both adaptability and calmness are crucial, from the microscopic level to the individual level, for optimal regeneration. But wait, this doesn't sound like Deadpool. He's known to be mentally unstable.
To be in a constant state of flux and regeneration, but it also makes him quite unpredictable and prone to violent outbursts.
Many consider his unpredictability one of his greatest strengths. This trait also grants him telepathic immunity. People can't read his mind because his mind is never really made up.
Taskmaster can copy your moves just by watching you fight. Maybe your moves, Binky. Check it.
His ever-changing mindset makes him behave somewhat like a perpetual child. In this way, Deadpool's behavior unintentionally illustrates how a youthful environment and flexible way of life can contribute to effective regeneration. So now that we know how it might occur, can Deadpool's incredible regenerative powers actually be explained by science? Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave us a comment and give us a big thumbs up to feed the algorithm. And if you are already subscribed, make sure that YouTube didn't unsubscribe you from the channel. We are on our way to 700,000 subs, so we don't want to lose any of you interns along the way. If you didn't like the video, be sure to let me know why in the comments section down below. I read as many comments as I can, and we use your feedback to make our videos better for you. And don't forget to follow my gym Human 2.0 Fitness for free right here on YouTube, where we post content that helps you move better and prevent injury. But most importantly, thank you very much for giving me the time to watch my content. Otherwise, as always, that's been a word from Dr. Chris, not your everyday ortho, where we see one, do one, teach one.